This week we're going to continue our discussion about keeping kosher. Now that we know what species may be eaten, let's talk about the preparation of kosher food. When we talk about mammals or birds, they have to be slaughtered in a proper way. There is a very specific, defined way how an animal or a bird has to be killed. We have to use a knife called a chalif, which is perfectly smooth. It can have no nicks or bumps or areas which are not smooth to the touch. The way the slaughterer, the shochet, will test it is by running it up and down his fingernail, which is very sensitive. The fingernail transmits the vibration very well to the finger, and we test the chalif continuously after each animal is killed to make sure that it still remains perfectly smooth. It also needs to be very sharp so that it cuts painlessly. An animal which died any other way other than through proper shchita is non-kosher. If it was killed in any other way or if it died on its own, it is not permitted to be eaten. In order for an animal or a bird to be kosher, it must be in perfect health. If there is any blemish, trauma, or disease that the animal suffers, it is rendered unkosher. Therefore, after the animal is slaughtered, they check very carefully throughout the animal's body to make sure that everything is in perfect condition. They will check the lungs very carefully because often there are lesions on the lungs which could be non-kosher. If there is a lesion on the lung, they would have to pull away the lesion carefully and make sure that there are no holes in the lung. They would blow up the lung and submerge it in water and see if it bubbles. If it bubbles, that animal is non-kosher. However, there is a very prevalent custom that if it has lesions at all, if the lung has lesions at all, it's not eaten at all. That animal would be not Glatt kosher, and that is the meaning of Glatt kosher. Glatt means smooth. It means that the lungs were perfectly smooth, only then would it be considered Glatt kosher. There are certain parts of the animal which may not be eaten and therefore have to be discarded or removed from the animal. We'll go through them one at a time. The Torah tells a story of Jacob when he wrestled with the angel, and the angel struck him in his thigh and caused damage to his sciatic nerve, and therefore the Torah says the Jewish people shall not eat the gid hanosha, the sciatic nerve. We must remove that nerve from the animal before it may be eaten. Since it is a branched nerve and it becomes difficult to remove it, and we're not 100% sure that we can get the whole thing, it has become a prevalent custom that we simply discard the entire hind quarter of the animal. In a kosher butcher shop, you will only find the meat cuts from the front of the animal, the front half of the animal. The entire back part of the animal is simply sold off as non-kosher. There are certain types of fat which are also strictly prohibited in the Torah. They're called chelev. These are the fat which is around the stomach, around the kidneys and other areas. There are veins of this type of fat which run through certain parts of the animal, and they need to be carefully cut out of the meat. This is the job of your kosher butcher. He does so. They usually have a mashgiach, a rabbi that does the job, who is very knowledgeable of which exact parts of the animal have to be cut out, and this is done in the back of the butcher shop before you see it. Another part of the animal which is strictly prohibited is the blood of the animal. A Jew is prohibited from eating blood of birds or mammals, and therefore, of course, we need to drain all the blood out of the animal before it's eaten. For that reason, we also remove certain veins. There are veins which run through certain cuts of meat which must be removed. For instance, in the tongue, they will cut through into the tongue to remove those veins because the veins do contain blood in them, even after the animal is killed. In addition to that, a very important part of processing kosher meat is the soaking and the salting of the meat. The reason that we do this is because the meat, the muscle tissue itself, also has blood in it. And the Talmud says the way to remove that blood is you soak it for a period of time and then salt it heavily, and the salt will withdraw the blood from the meat. So all kosher meat must be soaked and salted and then rinsed thoroughly. The salt is rinsed away, the salt mixed with the blood is rinsed away, and only then is this meat ready to be eaten. So to sum up, to eat animal products, first of all, you need to know that the species is kosher, a kosher species. It needs to be killed in the proper way. It needs to be a healthy animal. There are certain parts of the animal which must be discarded before the meat can be eaten. Sensible eating habits keep your body healthy. Eating kosher will keep your soul healthy.